if you look at like, say, 2002, when the war drums were beating for Iraq, there was just nothing like what we have today. I mean, like the biggest shows in cable news, they were all for it. They were all.
I was for it.
Yes, well,
I was for it until I went to Iraq in 2003. I immediately apologized. I would say in my defense. Yeah.
What is it about the trip made you change your mind?
Oh, I was so shocked by the whole thing. So the invasion was in March of 2003. And I mean, I was hosting a chat show, a debate show, Crossfire. And actually, it's a true story. I was at lunch with my father, had lunch with my dad every week at the same table in this place in this men's club in Washington. And we were sitting at the table. I'll never forget this, in the fall of 2003. And he goes, "When are you going to Iraq?" And I was like, I don't know. I don't plan to go to Iraq. I've got a daily show I have to host. He goes, "Oh, so you're a journalist and there's a war, but you're not going to cover the war?" And I was like, "No, I've got, like 4 kids and a daily job." He's like, "Oh, but you're just kind of sit this one out." And he like shamed me into it. It's a true story. He was like so unimpressed that I wasn't going to see it. And I was like, okay, you're right. I should go. So I went. I took leave of my show and went for a couple weeks with some friends who were contractors, defense contractors, all military guys. A buddy of mine called Kelly McCann and a bunch of Bill Frost, all these really impressive contractors. And we went to Iraq. And the first thing that happens, we got to Kuwait. We were going to fly in, and the insurgency shot down a DHL plane coming into BIOP, or the Baghdad airport. Right. And so we couldn't fly in. I was like, so we've occupied the country now. I went in early December. So that was, 9 months. And we had at least unequivocal victory over Saddam, right? He was hiding in fact, he was captured in Tikrit the day I got there. So we had just won, and we can't control the airport.
Right.
So then we drive in from Kuwait, immediately got it was out of control. People were shooting. It was chaos. It was full chaos. And then we stayed outside the green zone for in this house that they had rented. And one night I'm sitting on the roof on a sat phone trying to talk to my wife back in Washington, taking our dog to the vet. And someone starts shooting at me. And then all these people start shooting at our house. And there's a gun battle at the house. I'm like, what?
Do you have a gun when you're over there?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I almost got fired for it.
Really?
Actually, amazingly, you were told to carry a gun. It was so out of control when I was there that journalists and NGO workers, or I don't know, it was certainly me, you had to go get a certification from the State Department. I still have my badge. It's hanging in my office right there. That you qualified with this. It was an AK-47. Well, I actually had an AK-47 already, not fully automatic, but just my range. So I knew how to operate it. But yeah, you're required to carry it. That's how out of control it was. So, and then a buddy of mine got killed there. A journalist was killed there. A guy called Mike Kelly was a really great guy. And the bottom line was, we're not good at colonialism because we don't have the self-confidence. We're not sort of bringing Christianity and civilization. There's no clearly defined goal for this. And we're bad at it. And the armed forces is not designed to do that. And the effect was super obvious. It was chaos. And the one thing I cannot deal with, and I hate, and I think all people hate instinctively, is chaos. People can handle repression. They live under repressive regimes, all through history they have. They can't handle chaos. And we brought chaos to Iraq. And I just thought, this is the opposite of what a great power should be doing. This is disgusting. And I saw really, really clearly that it would never get better. And I'll just add one more thing to this, which I've never forgotten. We went into the green zone one night and had dinner with some generals. I did. And I'd always sort of liked, my dad was in the military. I sort of respected the military. I didn't realize how corrupt and disgusting and feminized the officer class was and politicized. Just repulsive people, actually, at the flag officer level. So we're sitting at dinner, and this general is telling me about, I saw something really touching today. We had this female officer, and she was killed. Her legs were blown off by an IED, and her husband was there. And they've got 3 kids back in Virginia, but he held her hand as she died of this ultimate sacrifice for America. And I was like, what? You're like celebrating this? A girl got killed? A mother? I thought we fought wars to protect mothers and children. First of all, if you're sending girls to fight your wars, you're disgusting.
Yeah.
Because you're violating the most basic agreement there is, which is the man protects. And in exchange for that, the willingness to sacrifice his life, he gets to be revered as a man and sit at the head of the table and all the benefits of being a man. And there are many. But
and
if
your
you're
woman
sending
will bear your children for
100%,
you,
if you're sending women to protect you, if there's a home invasion at your house at 3 a.m, and you're like, honey, I dealt with the last one. Go defend us. I hope that she leaves you, and she will, by the way.
Yes.
So if you're sending women to defend you, it's not a civilization worth defending. That's how I feel.
Can you imagine? I mean, going with the mother of your children and going to war with them?
A mother gets her legs blown off, and you think that's a good thing? And I lost control at the table with this guy and said almost exactly what I think. It's disgusting. And it's not because I don't think women should be defending our country, not because I don't love women. It's because I do love women. They're above that. We should be defending our women.
Yeah, I don't know how supporting women getting their legs blown off,
exactly.
that's become the pro-woman position.
Exactly. And this guy accused me of being like a woman hater or something. Here I've got a wife and 3 daughters who I revere, who I would die for without thinking. Yeah. And I'm like, I hated him. I don't think I've ever hated a man more than I hated this general. I wish I remember his name. And the PIO, the fairly well-known sort of spokesman for the Provisional Authority, Dan Senor, was sitting at the table. He was very offended by my behavior, but I was outraged. And that rage has sort of it's just exploded on you. Sorry, but it's never left me. And I
really enjoyed it.
I came back to Washington and I was like, and I did an interview with the New York Times. And I said, I cannot believe I supported something like this. Is totally evil what we're doing. And I've never moved from that position. I lost all these friends for saying that. Whatever. I don't want to talk about myself. Continue to talk about myself. But yeah, you asked in that.
Because I've heard you say several times that your trip over there, like turned you against the war. But I never heard you really say what specifically it was.
Celebrating the death of a mother.
Yeah.
And then getting mad at me because I'm not going to celebrate the death of a mother. What about her children and her husband? Like, this is disgusting. And it's so dark and horrible that we dress it up with ideology.
Well, the thing that's almost like that
to make it palatable.
Right. Well, the thing that's almost more dark and horrible than just that is when you add on the fact that this was a small group of people who wanted this war going back into the 90s, and that they used 9/11 as the excuse to, you know what I mean? Be like, oh yeah, now we can go get our bonus war. Oh, look at this. Right now, we've got a blank check from the American people, which they did, that you tell us, you say the word terrorist and point, and we will support you bombing the crap out of them.
And I knew it was bullshit, even at the time. And I went over to the White House for something to see Bush or Cheney, or somebody. I think I was seeing Cheney. Whatever. I was on the White House grounds.
He's a really warm guy.
Great guy. And so I was there, and it was like maybe the fall of 2002. And they'd been talking about this invade Iraq stuff, but I didn't take it seriously because I thought it was so crazy. It was like a non sequitur. It was like, it was just not connected in any sense to 9/11, obviously. And guys like, paid liars like Steve Hayes or someone would write these books like, Al-Qaeda did it. And I worked with Steve Hayes, and I was so embarrassed by that. It's like, he's dumb. So he didn't know. But I just felt, I was like, this whole thing was like so nuts. So I never thought we were going to invade Iraq. I never thought that. And I show up and I'm like having a cigarette on the lawn outside where all the sticks are, all the stand-up guys, the TV cameras are. And I run into Mike Allen. He's an old friend of mine, former Washington Post reporter, now runs Axios, and a really nice person, and has this like clarity of vision that I don't have because he doesn't get caught in the weeds on shit. And I said, we're not really going to invade Iraq. He goes, of course we are. And I said, well, how do you know that? He goes, well, because it's all the machinery's moving in that direction. Like, if it's going to happen. I was like, that can't really happen. He goes, oh no, that's going to happen. He wasn't endorsing it.
Yeah.
He could just see that, like, if everyone starts talking about something, like, they will convince themselves that it's true and it will happen. Like, we should remember that.
Yeah.
Don't overthink things. If something really obvious is happening, it's happening.
Yeah, sometimes it's sometimes it's almost too hard to accept.
Well, intellectuals, people like you, and to some extent me, have a lot of trouble seeing that because we're like, well, actually, no, the obvious is real.